Hi there YouTube, this is the Magnus bringing you another Total War Warhammer online ladder battle. This time I am playing as Chaos and my opponent is the Greenskins. Now I deployed in a slightly unusual way. Last time that you saw me fight on this map, I tried to make a push up this way and I did win, but it was pretty troublesome because I was getting shot from here and then attacked from here. And having to work my way up the hill. Once again, I'm looking at the bad half of this map. I get stuck in the mother-loving swamp while my opponent rests happily on the hill. So let's take a look at the composition. Should look familiar. I've got 2 of the Chaos Warriors with great weapons, 3 Aspiring Champions, and 4 Forsaken as my main line. I have 1 Dragon Ogre. And then I have my flying contingent of a Chaos Lord, a Feral Manticore, and a Sorcerer of Fire. Let's take a look at what my opponent did. He has McGrub's Mangy Marauders up front, Vanguard deployed, and same with a unit of Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. And then up on the hill, he has the Hammer of Gork. He has Goblins times 2. He has 2 of the Orc Biggins. He has 2 Giants. He has 2 of the Goblin Big Bosses, a Orc Boar Boy Biggin, and the man of the hour for him, hidden in here, is Wurrzag, who's a very cool looking dude and a nasty guy because he's armor piercing, frenzy, and he's a spellcaster, so there's not much that nasty guy can't do. So let's go ahead and take a look at how things develop. Initially, I try to get my Dragon Ogres hidden so he doesn't know they're there, but then I see him moving McGrubs up, and these guys are much faster than my Dragon Ogres, so I decide I got to pull them back. And then also I'm getting hit by artillery, so I just decide to back off. There's no reason for me to push up the hill if I can bait him down somehow. His archers here are getting shots off on my infantry. The Forsaken don't have a shield. So I started bringing my flying crew over, so he backed off with this archer unit. I'm hoping I can make him do the same here and kind of chase him up the hill and try to find some sort of an advantage. Because right now, terrain's against me. He's got a bunch of monsters and stuff like that, and I've got anti-infantry infantry. So just not... I don't like the matchup, what he has in the place where he is. Now, if he was down on the bottom of the hill, if I was looking this way, I'd feel pretty good about the situation. But being uphill, I'm being extremely cautious because he's got artillery, he's got range, he's got monsters, he's got everything. Yeah, except for a lot of infantry. And I build this army expecting, well, a lot of infantry. So I'm going to try to get a hold of these pesky little marauders, but they're just way too fast, and I get a couple of bites on them, but by the time I get there, his infantry's starting to come in, and I got to worry about his, all these things. Now looking at it, in retrospect, Monday morning quarterbacking it, I probably should have chased them a little bit further and then just pulled one of these, but instead I like to try to bring up the Chaos Sorcerer of Fire to cast a fireball here. And I'm going to aim at his Goblin Big Boss. And hopefully, I don't remember if I got that one off or not. I guess that looks like I didn't, so I'm taking unnecessary fire because I can't get the spell off. But let's give it another shot, and we take a shot, and he effectively dodges that completely. So, pretty rough go out of the gate, but we don't give up. So I decided to back into the forest where I can safely hang out for a little bit, and I decided I'm going to have to move up the infantry line and totally expect that I'm going to have to make this death march up the hill to try to take out the Greenskins. He starts moving in his archers. Initially I back off. I'm hoping I can bait them into coming into the forest where they'll get slowed down and then I can go after them. He doesn't take the bait. He plays quite well and starts to move them this way. So I shift over. He shifts back. So a lot of posturing going on. And for some of you, it may not be the most interesting thing, but I'm showing this to you and kind of explaining my thought process because, when I was early into playing the Total War games and even Total War Warhammer, when I would see this kind of situation with this hill and stuff, I'd just say the hell with it and just charge up and see what happens. Speaking of that, we're going to take another fireball shot here, see if we can't get a hit. And no, we hit a couple of goblins and it passes right through those guys like it never happened. So another bad fireball, not going to help me out at all. But like I was saying, I used to always just, accept my fate, charge up, and most of the time I lost. And now, I may not always find that great advantage, but I'm going to try like hell to do so. I'm not always going to be able to bait somebody down the hill, but I'm always going to try to make it happen. And, if you want to win, these are the kind of things you got to try to come up with. So we're going to wind up another fireball, but I decided to go for a much bigger, beefier target, which is what I should have done right out the gate, as I look at it. And boom, we get a nice solid hit on the giant. He's going to take considerable damage. And we finally have something that's gone our way. Now his artillery has been somewhat successful, but not enormously so because of the terrain. So that's another reason why I'm not rushing up the hill. I'm not overestimating what he's able to do. The same thing with this. I'm just keeping the Chaos Sorcerer fire back because his fireball represents a lot of opportunity for me, and I'm less worried about these two taking hits than him. So I launch another fireball towards his giant here. Let's see how that goes. One of his giants, I should say. And boom, we're going to get a double hit again. So about 2/3 of his life is gone. He's headed for the trees. Again, his archers over pursue a bit, so I'm going to try to make them pay. And it just sucks. You'll notice my guys land just on the heel of them. Now the Manticore gets a nice little dive in there. I'm not worried about these goblins so much, but I don't want to see what's happening here. He's firing from two directions, plus he has infantry, and I don't know what's in these woods, but I have a feeling there's something back there. And turns out my spidey sense was right. So I continue to fly around here trying to find an advantage, but I'm moving up my infantry. For a second there, I thought I might catch his Spider Riders there off guard, but his micro's on point, and my Dragon Ogre has to back off. So I have my flyers over here trying to scope something out, trying to give myself a flanking opportunity, and now I'm going to send in the infantry. And the idea is get all the infantry in here and try to swing my Dragon Ogres around and finish this giant off as quick as possible. So his Spider Riders start retreating back. They don't want any part of this melee. And just now we see, I believe it was, well, who got detected here? It's the, oh, okay, his Orc Boy Biggins. So I send in the flyers to try to beat them up in this Goblin Big Boss. And they get a nice charge off, but I probably shouldn't have stuck them in there as long. And I also probably shouldn't have dove in at all because I have a hell of a time getting out of these trees. This Goblin Big Boss hauls butt over here, and he's going to help lock them in. Plus he's got his archers shooting. Now he's got some shooting in the line. Foot of Gork comes down. Absolutely devastating. Just wipes out 2 units of Forsaken virtually instantaneously. And so over here on the right, I did get my Dragon Ogres in the Giant. They're taking way too long to kill him. Not looking promising from that regard. Here I have Chaos Warriors with great weapons on one side, Aspiring Champions on the other, trying to work that down. Not going great. This thing in the woods has turned into a slog. I got rid of one Goblin Big Boss, but I can't get rid of the other. I'm forced to pop my Potion of Toughness on my Chaos Lord far earlier in the engagement than I'd like. Here things are going my way, except for Wurrzag, who has all of his abilities going there, including Wah. It's going to help him turn things around. So things are very complicated, I would say, at this point. I'm not quite sure what I need to focus on. So here I decided to take out his other Goblin Big Boss, working on his leadership, and I think that's going to help me get out of the forest. As soon as I do that, his other one recovers and he pops Potion of Toughness, and my Chaos Sorcerer Fire is going to start to flee. Over here you'll see who's still standing. The Giant. Who's running down the hill like a bunch of little girls? Dragon Ogres. And that's really disappointing. This is an 1800 cost unit. It costs more than the Giant, and that Giant was 2/3 dead when it started, so just a really piss poor performance. I can't really think of a nicer way to say it. So I decided the only way this is happening is if I put Wurrzag down, because the balance bar is going against me. Then it starts to tick up a little bit because I'm guessing because of what's going on here, but I'm not sure. My infantry flee off of his other giant. His orc biggins are coming up, which are obviously a threat to my flying, but I have to get rid of Wurrzag, and I will. He dies. That's very promising. All of a sudden the balance bar looks very different. Dragon Ogres versus Giant version 2. They charge up the hill after recovering. The Giant has 986 life at this point, and he literally with every swing kills one of them, and they run like little girls. So Dragon Ogre, not a good choice against the Giant, so he's probably going to get dropped from this composition. And as you can see, this Giant is still very much alive, still doing me a lot of pain. Income Orc Biggins. I'm down to just 2 infantry here in the center, some that recovered that I'm trying to send in, and then the flying corps that I had hunt down that giant to get rid of him are going to come in and try to make the last push for the win here, and in they come. His artillery I didn't feel was being all that effective. I may have been wrong, I don't know, but at this point I figure I really need to get rid of this giant because he's scaring the crap out of everybody. I need that fear off the field. Getting very close here. He's down to 462 health. He's blinking into negative leadership, but not running at all, and hanging in there. And the next thing you know, my guys chain route, and that's going to be it for the Warriors of Chaos. We're going to take a loss here, and it's because we could not effectively deal with giants. A valiant defeat. That sounds, but a defeat is a defeat, and that sucks. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape here. My Forsaken, half of them got wiped out by the foot of Gork and barely saw the light of day. That was absolutely brutal because my other 2 Forsaken did extremely well. The Aspiring Champions did well, but they broke, which is something they don't often do, or at least not under such a close battle. I would expect them to stick around. Chaos Warriors with great weapons sucked. My Feral Manticore didn't get very many kills. The Dragon Ogres were complete garbage. The Chaos Sorcerer was my hero, and the Chaos Lord did pretty well. Looking at my opponent's army, his goblins didn't do much, but they're goblins, so that's not what they're there for. Orc Biggins did well. His cavalry didn't, but the damage they did do was against my, my lord and my heroes, so I'd say he did just fine. These guys were annoying as hell and did a lot of health damage. They may not have a lot of kills, but they were worthwhile. The Giant scared the crap out of my people, even though I killed one and almost killed the other. The Hammer of Gork definitely did well, but his the big thing was Wurrzag. He just absolutely murdered a ton of people, especially with that foot of Gork. I mean, for the love of God, that's a tough thing to recover from. 81 men remaining at the end of this thing. So, good game to my opponent. Great use of Foot of Gork. And I have to say he reacted very well to almost everything I did. Now, as far as what could have been done, hindsight-wise, I should have fired all my fireballs at the dragon. At the giants. I should have known they were going to be this big of a problem, and I should have known that the dragon ogre suck against them. That's the kind of thing testing and experience will tell you. I didn't know that. Charging uphill, I'm sure it didn't help either. But, so overall, I think I want to swap the Dragon Ogre out. I don't know what for. I have some ideas. We'll see what I have next time. But I'm just not loving it. And that fight with Giant really made me mad. So, we'll see what happens. If you learned something, if you enjoyed the battle, you liked seeing one of my inglorious losses, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Until the next time, this is a sad Magnus, and I'll see you on the ladder.